Well, Retropalooza Houston 2022 has come and gone. Let's talk about it.
Hey, kid. Yeah, you. Everyone thinks toys are fun, but this is a channel for adults. Yeah, I said it. If you're under the age of 18, go get your parents before you come in here. If you're under the age of 13, scram! Let's get on with the show.
Before I get into a recap of the events at hand, I do have a few people I have to thank without whom I would not have been able to do this. One, I want to thank Jay for putting on an excellent show, as well as being a great roommate alongside 16-Bit Pete. I also have to thank 8-Bit Eric for sharing his table with me at the last second. I really appreciate you, brother. I don't tell you often enough. Of course, I also have to thank Rob from the Order 42 show for not only getting me there and back and everything in between, but just for being a better travel partner than I deserve. Thank you. So as is tradition with all of my Retropalooza videos, I'm just going to give you all the details within reason. So let's just get into it. Rob and I left the area late morning on Friday, and there was a ton of traffic, just a ton of horrible driving. And I give Rob all the credit in the world for dealing with it as well as he did. We did stop at a Buc-ee's on the way, which was a little hyped because a lot of my friends tell me about Buc-ee's all the time, especially people that are not from Texas. And Rob had made mention, oh, hey, you haven't been to a Buc-ee's, let's go. Here's a little tidbit of hype. So Rob has decided that I absolutely have to stop at a Buc-ee's. I've lived in Texas for 3 years almost, and I've never been inside of a Buc-ee's. And apparently it's the best thing ever, according to this man.
I don't know about that. It's not the best thing ever. It's just worth experiencing.
Okay, so there you go. It's not quite the best thing ever, but worth experiencing. We'll find out in a minute, I guess. So we get to Buc-ee's, and the walk was not the best because, to begin with, I'm not a big fan of walking long distances in the heat, partially because of my weight, but also because, hey, that just is horrible. We go in, immediate anxiety trigger. Floor to ceiling, wall to wall people. We even lost each other in there. Not the best first impression, but the hype is real for Buc-ee's. So the next time you're in Texas, if you get a chance, stop at one. Take your time. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. After fighting more and more traffic and Rob being truly an excellent driver, we get to the event, check in, get our badges, say hello to a bunch of people. And there was a small surprise for me. My good friend OK Chief, one of my co-stars in Adventures in Game Chasing, was like, hey bro! And he was telling me immediately about how his brother really liked my character in the film above the others and was just a big fan. Huge surprise, because, you know, I'm still not used to that part of it. Like, I've been a musician before, and certainly I've done content in the past, and I'm used to people liking some stuff I do on some level, but this was a brand new experience. Chief said, hey, can I call him on a video call and have you do a line from the movie? Sure. So he calls his brother up and then says, there's someone here who wants to talk to you. Puts the phone on. As soon as my face gets on screen, I gave him a line from the film, and you could see the smile on his face. It was worth all the soreness and all the heat. It just made my day. Absolutely made my day. So Chief's brother, whose name escapes me, if you're watching, hey man, thanks for making my day. I hope I made yours. We get to the hotel, drop off our bags, and a few quick text messages later, a handful of us went to eat at Chewy's, and I'm delighted to say that it went off without a hitch. Had a couple beers, had some good laughs, great times. Come back to the room, as again is customary on the first night of the event. It's Hangout Central. A lot of the guests of the convention will come to the room just to say hello and hold court for a few minutes. That's one of the perks of being part of the crew. And I got to meet Joey Kramer and Keith Coogan, both of whom are really humble, really wonderful, amazing storytellers. And just to be in the same room with them as they're talking through some of this stuff was a treat beyond treats. Amazing people, with really interesting backstories, and they were very generous with their time, so I thank them both for that. Now, because this is Jay's event, a lot of the responsibility falls on his shoulders to get guests to and from, at least initially, from the airport. And obviously, Allie, someone who's helping out, she does a lot of that too. In one particular instance, it was starting to get late. Jay noticed that we were kind of dwindling on beer and said, "Hey, can you take care of this while I'm gone?" Absolutely. I didn't realize, not necessarily what he was asking, but like what was going to have to happen. Long story short, I end up getting an Uber to a gas station where we knew they had what he was looking for. It had just closed at like 10 o'clock on a Friday night. You look across the parking lot and see there's a CVS that appears to be open and presumably sells beer. I was like, well, I gotta do something where, time is running out, because apparently 11 o'clock is when everything cuts off. I asked him, "Hey, can you just take us there?" He said, "Sure." Going up a one-way street in the process. We go into the CVS, get the beer, come out, and he's gone. When Jay from the Game Changer sends you for beer, always make sure where you're going they have what he's asking for. And don't take an Uber driver, right, Pete?
No, because he'll just leave us here. After
Yeah.
he said he was going to wait for us, yeah.
Yeah, Uber driver left us here. So now I'm sitting here with fucking 60 beers and no driver. This is great fun. So we get another driver who's very gracious and very cautious. Gets us back to the hotel. We get back up there and finish out the night with a bunch of people. Old friends and new, including Nick from Echo Base. Bit of a chatty Cathy, but I love the guy to death, so if you're watching, thanks for a good night, man. He and I kind of closed out the evening, as is evidenced on a Twitter post that I made at 6 o'clock in the morning. I look over at the clock to see that it is 6 a.m. and go, "Hey, let's both get some sleep." Okay. A very few hours of sleep later, Rob and I arrive at the event around 10:30-ish, just past doors opening, and immediately there's folks all over the place. I'm meeting people that I've seen in the past, like Falcro. I'm meeting people for the first time, like Ted Milich and Jason Garcia, and random fans of the film who were like, "Hey, I know who that guy is." And it was just a little overwhelming on 3 hours of sleep, but I wouldn't have traded it for the world. It was an amazing time. And that first few hours went by, whoosh, and this is the kind of thing that occurs at these conventions. There's like pockets of activity, right? Now, you may recall a gentleman that came around at the last two Retropaloozas, that kind of diminutive guy, glasses with a goatee. We don't know his name. And he's one of those people that will have a conversation with you and there's not really a place where it feels comfortable to say, "What is your name again?" But he's really nice and generous and always has interesting oddities, in his bag. This year, he took a slightly different approach. Comes to the table, shows off a few things, asks what you're into, and you take a look at it. On the first round, he had brought things that he was hoping to, get at least a couple bucks for. And at the time, I was like, usually your MO is you're just going to give stuff away, which I'm not trying to be greedy about anything at all. It was unexpected is all. It's a little bit different, but that's okay. He only charged me $5 for the two VHSs, which, given what they are, is pretty fair. Let me show you. So first time around, our mysterious benefactor came with VHSs and a few other things. Something I got was this sealed copy of Smokey and the Bandit. I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but I do know someone who is. What drew my attention was this first print media release on VHS of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. How you can tell it's the first edition? This bottom flap here. These are not easy to come by and fetch pretty high prices by VHS standards. I got the pair, both VHSs, $5. Can't beat it. This is going to look great on my shelf. Somewhere in the mix, Falcro gave me a Playmates 2004 Godzilla. Now, I already have one of these, but as you're about to see, the box upgrade is pretty good, and the figure looks amazing. So I'm going to take the one that I already have, take him out of the packaging, and use him for size comparisons. But let's take a look at the one that Falcro got me. Just look at this thing. It's an amazing shape. And although the packaging isn't crazy, like I said, it looks great. It's a great sculpt of the figure and a very thoughtful thing for Falco to do. Thank you. Upon seeing this, a spark must have gone off in Billy's head because he handed me a DVD of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and said, "Do you need this?" And to be honest, I wasn't sure. I'm kind of unsure of what I do and don't have when it comes to Godzilla films outside of the modern legendary film stuff, as everything is in storage. So this is the second or third time that he said, "Dude, I don't need this. Do you want it?" At this point, I said, "You know what? Yes. If for no other reason, and if I have a copy of this, it's not here, and it's a good film, but it's in great condition. Let's check it out." This is a great DVD copy. I love the cover. And of course, it's in 2:3:5:1, which is full screen, my favorite aspect ratio. I know that's a weird flex, but it's great. Got the booklet, the disc. I mean, you can tell this is from Billy's private collection because he keeps his stuff nice. So to have this, in my collection, perhaps for a second time, this is amazing. Thanks, Billy. By this time, lunch was had, a few conversations here and there, some panels had gone by. The day starts to ramp up again, and we're getting towards the end of the day. We had a showing of the film at the end of the day, which we filed into the panel room, and at a glance between looking at who was lined up and what we had in terms of space, it was kind of a moment. We had to bring in more chairs, rearrange the room quite a bit to accommodate the folks that were there. It's a good problem to have, if I'm being completely honest with you. So once we got everyone filed in there, ready to go, showed them the film, and I was blessed enough to be sitting in the very back row, because let's face it, I've seen the movie before, but I was between two of the people I was most interested to see what their reactions were. To my left was Boogie2988, my good friend, as well as Pixel Dan on my right, who's been a friend of the Game Chasers for a very long time, and I've enjoyed every conversation I've had with the man. And between these two perspectives of people who have been around for a real long time, I was like, this is going to be interesting for me. Because you get the crowd experience, but you also get first-hand dibs on what two of the people that, again, I thought would be most interesting to see. And I was not disappointed. I'm getting jabs from one side or the other, and I hear laughter, and you feel the vibration of people doing this. It was really gratifying. And although I'd seen it with a crowd in front of, the premiere, I was in the front. And although I could hear laughter behind me, it's not the same as watching a crowd react to something. And it's an experience I don't think I'll ever forget. They laughed in the right places. They didn't laugh over secondary jokes, which is always something you worry about. They seemed to have just a tremendous time, and I teared up many, many times just out of just the overwhelming waves of joy and everything from the crowd. It was a really cool experience, and one that not going to say it can ever be replicated, but because of course there always are going to be more showings, I suppose. But this is one I'm going to remember for a long time. After the movie wraps, we go up to do the Q&A, which by my watch was over 2 hours, which, not complaining about this at all. I mean, that's the whole reason that I was invited to the event, is to help promote the movie. This is, for the weekend, this is my job, right? A little over halfway through it, my bladder starts knocking on the door and says, "Dude, if you don't pee right now, we're going to pee right now." So for those in attendance, I was not tired of the Q&A. I wasn't trying to snub anybody, but I had to get up and go pee. So I did. I felt horrible about it. It felt unprofessional, but it's either that or pee on the stage, and that would have been way worse. So went pee, come back. We're answering questions, telling stories, some more than once, and getting through the event and having a good time. By the time we got out of there and back to the hotel, it's 9:30 at night. Some folks want to go out to eat. Some folks like Jay and myself are like, I'm beat, just want pizza, it'll be fine. So the folks that want to go to the restaurant went to the restaurant. We ended up staying behind with pizza and of course beer, because we had so much beer at this point. We were just like, okay. But it settled into more of a friend hang. Not so many big surprises or anything like that. I do want to shout out to my buddy Greg Honeycutt, who was there on Saturday night. He and I have been friends for a couple of years, but we've never had a chance to really sit and hang. For those of you who don't know, he owns a store chain that used to be called the Game Bros, if you will, but now has rebranded to Culture Shock. He's got a couple of them down there. Great stuff, great prices. I don't know how he finds the stuff that he finds, but if you're down in Pasadena, Houston area, and you need to get some toys or some games or anything pop culture-y, go see Greg and the boys at Culture Shock. You'll be glad you did. But he and I were talking metal and toys and video games and all manner of stuff, and he was laughing and having a good time, and I could tell he needed it. So I can't wait for Arlington to see him again and hopefully make him spit out some beer again. That would be great. I'll have a great time making him laugh. It's good to see him. So now we're on day 2 of the fest, but day 3 of the experience. Rob and I have already agreed we're going to leave at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was very much ready to do that. We're both tired. It's a whole thing, right? So we know we're only going to have so much time. Now, because of me, we don't get there until almost 11, as my memory recalls. Alarm wasn't set. Really stupid move on my part. But we do get there. Got there, sat down, hung out, got to see Falcrow again, and a few other folks. And our friend, the benefactor, comes back again for another round. This time, he's got some different stuff. This time, it is a giveaway. Check it out. Second time our mysterious benefactor comes around, he brings with him Amigo Silence of the Lambs reissue from a few years ago. I believe this is a 2020. And I love the film, and I'm not actively collecting for it, but this is a great figure. It's on card. Great toy. Unexpected and more exciting is this hardcover graphic novel adaptation of Gibson's Alien 3 script. This is so cool. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's really great illustrations. This is a failed script, and what most fans widely regard as the movie that got away. So to have this in my hand, big ups. Thanks for the hookup. And the clock is starting to wind down on when we are about to leave. And I start to notice that some folks that are having to fly, they only have so many choices with their flight times. So they're having to leave as well. And Dan, Pixel Dan, comes walking over to the booth and says, "Hey, do you have one of these? Did you still want one of these?" Referring to his Masters of the Universe official guidebook. And I said, "Well, yeah." I had meant to pick one up over the weekend, and between all the different shenanigans, I kind of blew my budget pretty quick, and I frankly had been ducking Dan because I really intended to buy the book, and I was like, I'll have to wait till the next time, kind of a situation. And he said, "Look, I've got one left. I do not want to carry this onto the plane. You're a collector, and I know you can get some use out of this." And he hands it to me. I cannot thank you enough, Dan, for that. It was a very gracious thing to do. And in a way, it was nice to help you out for not having to carry this admittedly very heavy book on the plane. And it's already got a very valued space on the shelf. But for now, let's take a look at it. Above all else, Pixel Dan's book, The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, should be regarded as a lethal weapon. You could concuss someone with this thing, which is a bit of a theme with the Dark Horse books, but it's great. It is an invaluable guide to what a toy should have, what it shouldn't have, what it includes, the entire toy line. I am so happy to have this. He did sign it, and I would show it to you, but it gives away a line in the movie that gets a laugh, so Not today. Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate this. So huge thanks to anyone that stopped by just to show off what their hauls were, or to show something off that they wanted to give away or sell, because I saw a lot of that going on, as is customary across the board. But to, our mysterious benefactor, Dan, Falcrow, Ted, Jason, just for stopping by and just showing off some great stuff, some of which obviously I ended up with. Thank you so much. And honorable mention to Falcrow. Gave me this PlayStation branded bag. Without that bag, I wouldn't be able to carry that stuff in and out of the place. So thank you, man. That really helped more than you know. So by this time, it's getting close to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Decided to get up and get out of the place. And then Rob and I made our way over to the car, and gotta be honest, the ride home was pretty much smooth sailing, with one rather shady gas station that I'm not going to go into. It was a shady gas station, that's all you got to know. Now, granted, I don't have hardly any footage at all of the event, for the simple fact that every time you think you're going to shoot, you go, I'll shoot later, and then you're at your table, and I wasn't thinking about it because I was almost constantly talking to people, or almost constantly falling asleep from lack of sleep, right? And in all honesty, it's one of these things where you have to make a conscious decision to go film. I dropped the ball on this. This is why it makes it more of a recap than a vlog. So that's why we call it the recap, okay? But I had an amazing time, and I met so many people and got to touch base with people I'd met before. I had an amazing time. I'm going to try and get this right, and if I miss anybody, it's not intentional, I promise you. Rob, OK Chief, Jay, Billy, 16-Bit Pete, Eric, Pixel Dan, Greg Honeycutt, Joey Kramer, Keith Coogan, Allie, Nick from Echo Base, Boogie, Tim and Elizabeth with Sketchy Itchy Glass. Oh yeah, I got glasses too. I guess I should show you those. Oh yeah, I did visit Sketchy Itchy Glass again. Here are the glasses. I got an Optimus Prime pint glass and a G.I. Joe pint glass. More to drink out of. Just anybody and everybody who was there, let alone the folks that I interacted with. I had a blast. I cannot wait for Arlington to come. This was an amazing way to cap off a birthday week, so thank you so much. In the meantime, may your grinds be merry, may your card backs be straight, and may you be able to find anything you're looking for at any given time at a price you feel is reasonable. Take care, and cheers. Special thanks to our patrons and members who you are seeing on the screen now. Thank you so much for your support. It really helps.